The Champenois they have such a history about being the absolute masters of the art of assemblage. When you mentioned to me there that you deal with almost 6,000 growers, and that would be through local cooperatives, regional cooperatives as well, how do you maintain a quality level like the one that you do with that number of growers?
It's 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 a it's a hard work. It's an
Okay, yeah, I
everyday
guess.
work.
Yeah.
The fact is that we communicate a lot with them. Um, Communication is on both sides, meaning that we send them what we expect from them as a quality, and they send us more and more information about the way their grapes and their vines are evolving during the maturation and during the vegetative period. So it's the fact that we are on the field, thanks to our technicians, thanks to our managers, that the managers that we have on the vineyard, local ones, on each sub-region we have a responsible for that, and it's kind of a Champagne Academy, meaning that we are close to them, and that's we work together. In fact, of course, it's not our vineyard as property, but it's our vineyard, because from one year to another it doesn't change a lot. Of course, each grower can say, well, this year I will not give grapes to Feuillatte, or next year I will give twice what I used to give, and so on. But globally, it changed very lightly. So it's really interesting to have the same sourcing on a global. The sourcing globally represent 8% of the whole appellation. It's 2,800 hectares. Compared to 34,000 hectares as a global appellation. And thanks to this large sourcing, 8% is really huge for one single structure. Thanks to this large sourcing, which is very stable from one year to another, it's possible to explain what we want and to manage the quality quite stable. The fact is that we have some secrets, I would say. One of our secrets is that the Champagne started to work with reserve wine a long time ago. We have many reserve wines. Our older one is maybe a Chardonnay from 2008 or 9, and we have today in our tanks we have 1/3 of reserve wine and 2/3 of the new wines.
Oh, okay. Impressive.
These reserve wine are really important. We have hundreds of them, and they are exactly what our different territories and different grape varieties give to us. It's a large diversity, meaning that if one year you have very concentrate wine, you will take in your reserve part light wines. If it's more acidic, you will find more smoothness in your reserve wine, and so on. So it's quite easy to pick up what you want, so that you will make a real well-balanced blend at the far end, to make sure that you non-vintage Brut, our Reserve exclusive Brut, for example, will be very stable as quality and as style from one year to another.
Interesting. Here's a question for you. Do grapes in Champagne, the price of grapes in Champagne, fluctuate as much as they do everywhere else? Because right now we're beginning to read about a surplus of wine in Europe.
The fact is, it's the management of the level of what we are able to bottle from one year to another is different in Champagne than what you have in any other appellation.
Right.
Each year before the harvest, we decide by analyzing the what we sold during the last 12 months, we decide what we will be able to harvest. And that's a way to make sure that we will not have too many stocks, or maybe to make sure that we will not run out of stock. And that's a way also to make sure that the price of the grapes will be quite stable. The fact is that when you had the way the energy evolutes, and the way how do you say, the way you pay people is evolving. Of course, it's sometimes a bit more, but it's still a high price in Champagne for 1 single kilo of grape. It has been that way for years or decades, and it will stay like that. And that for sure that has consequences on the price of a single bottle of champagne. The fact is that today, in average, it's about €8, I would say 7.5, €8. If you had all everything in average, which is quite a lot compared to table grapes, for example, or to compare to other wine appellation.
Right.
But if you compare a kilo to a kilo, it's less than, for example, Côte Rôtie. But if you compare a hectare to a hectare, it's more than Côte Rôtie, because they produce far less on a single hectare than we do.
Now, you were talking about managing the inventories there. How on earth did you manage your inventories during the pandemic? How did the pandemic impact your inventory management?
For example, the way we manage the pandemic is it's been really hard to find the right measures to be I would say on the right level on the market for many reasons. Just because of the COVID, we of course sold a lot bottle less than compared to the previous year. And the reaction of the interprofession, what we call the interpro, has been to just decrease the level of bottling for the next year. So we decreased from nearly 11,000 kilos per hectare to 8. At the same moment, we had 12 in our vineyard per hectare, 12,000. So it was a shame to see that we had grapes that we were not going to harvest.
Yes.
The next year, the following year, we had impressive sellings on the global market, in France, of course, but everywhere overseas. And at the same time, we decided to increase the level of production. The problem is that Mother Nature said no.
Right. Yeah.
And we had we wanted 12, we had 6.5.
Oh, wow.
So thanks to that way of managing our resources, meaning we had reserve wines.
Yes.
We used a part of the reserve wine to complete. That was one answer. The fact is that thanks to this capacity of managing the wines, we had the possibility to adapt ourselves for a part. But some growers had absolutely no harvest on 21. No harvest because they had nothing in their vineyard. So for them, they used the whole thing as meaning at the reserve part, and they had not enough to complete to the level of 10,000 kilos per hectare that we decided to bottle. So the Interpro adapted this and decided that for the next 3 years, they were able to renew their reserve and use a part of this new reserve to complete the appellation of 2021. So that was a way to make sure that everybody will be able to go through the COVID crisis. Now for the wines, it's been quite tricky for us, because blending with low part of reserve or large part of reserve contribution, it's not the same. But at the far end, you have to make sure that your wines, especially the non-vintage wine, will be stable as quality and style. So it's not the same the same sourcing as evolution.
Yes.
You know, by testing, you have different kinds of evolution. It's not the same sourcing through the years, but finally, at the far end, it has to be the same blend from 1 year to another.
So in
That
extreme years, in extreme vintages like that, to create that consistent house style must be much more challenging.
It is. We take a long time on these specific years when it's extreme, for example, with a very solar and hot year, and with a very wet and cold year. If you have 2 years like this, that one followed the other one, it's not absolutely not the same way of managing the wines and the blends. So we have to take our time and make sure that we'll not make any mistakes.